Indspire, it's really a perfect name for the national Indigenous-led charity that's helping to elevate First Nation, Métis, and Inuit youth through education. And it starts at the top with the remarkable Roberta Jamieson. She is president and CEO of Indspire and an inspiration in her own right. Also with us today, Victoria Anderson-Gardner, a Ryerson University student and a 2019 recipient of an Indspire bursary. Welcome to you both. It's nice to have you here.
It's great to be here.
So myself and Ms. Jameson have been having kind of a tug of war here. I don't feel comfortable calling you Roberta, but you want me to call you Roberta. So I will call you
Please.
Roberta. Okay. So can you give us a bit of background on Indspire?
Well, Inspire, although it has a new name, combining Indigenous and inspiration, it's been around for about 30 years, celebrating achievement of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, supporting the education dreams of our young people, and in the last 15 years, we've really focused on education.
Why?
Because no matter what topic we're talking about in the country, in the relationship between Indigenous people, our role in Canada, how we're going to change things. And I won't read the statistics, they're all too well known. We are most challenged in healthcare, in education, economically, everywhere. Murdered and missing Indigenous women. If we're going to change anything, the economics, the well-being in our communities, housing, water, you name it, education is the key. But not just any education. Education that validates and nurtures our people as Indigenous people. That's the key to success. And then when you do that, our people can do anything.
I read an article, an interview that you did with somebody a while ago, and when you were in grade 2, you had a pivotal experience with a teacher. And I think that, is it safe to say that that shaped your view of where you fit into Turtle Island?
Well, I think there are many things that impacted me to shore up my relationship to Turtle Island. But as a youngster, if you're referring to the fact that I had a teacher who said, now I have to teach you what it says in the book, dictated by the Department of Indian Affairs, certain things like Columbus discovered America. There, now let me tell you the truth. And that taught me critical thinking, gave me the courage to speak truth to power, and really let me know that despite what mainstream was trying to tell our people, there is another truth. And we own that truth, and we should be proud of it.
Throughout your career, you've been the first to do many things. In your bio for a speaker series on the issue of Indigenous education, hosted by the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business, we learned that Roberta has enjoyed a distinguished career of firsts. She was the first First Nation woman to earn a law degree, the first non-parliamentarian appointed an ex officio member of a House of Commons committee, the first woman ombudsman of Ontario, 1989 to 1999, and in December 2001, she was the first woman elected chief of the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. Considering of all the firsts that you've accomplished, why did you want to take on a role with Indspire?
I think because it fits with, yes, I've had diverse roles, but they've all been about a couple of things. One, creating impactful change, positive, constructive change that builds the nation. Two, roles that enabled me to take a long view. Our people are taught we're responsible for the world we're creating for the 7th generation. And for me, that's not a romantic view. That is a real obligation. So in this role, focusing on education, providing our young people with the support they need to achieve their potential so they can create change, perfect fit.
And we have somebody who's benefited from that. Victoria, it's really nice to have you here. How did you first hear about Indspire?
It was actually back in my high school days. I got invited to a conference through Indspire in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And I was just invited as youth to just participate in the conference. And I think it's called the Soaring
Student Success Conference.
Yeah. And so at that conference, I learned a lot of leadership skills. And I actually won a laptop through a contest that was happening there. And that laptop actually helped me with the current hobbies that I'm doing. And actually my current career is, it allowed me to actually download programs to do more film-related activities and whatnot. And so it was kind of through that, and then just throughout my university career, I had some people contact me to just apply for scholarships and bursaries through Indspire. And so last year, I decided to try to actually apply finally, and I was a recipient of a $1,000 bursary.
And how did that help you do what you do?
So it helped me actually to do my thesis film, just because I'm doing a bachelor's degree in film at Ryerson. And so it helped me to pay some of the post-production costs for that. It also helped me to just live here in Toronto because it's very expensive. And it just really helped me to actually just continue being here to achieve what I wanted to do.
It's empowering, yes?
It honestly was very empowering. It was really nice to receive the bursary, just knowing that I have the support in order to actually achieve what I want to do. It was really nice to have that and to just feel more secure in what I'm doing, and that people actually are encouraging me to continue to pursue my career in film.
And Roberta, hearing that from somebody who's benefiting, what does that mean to you and the work that you're doing?
I mean, Victoria, you are so inspirational, and she's pursuing her goals. The incredible potential that our young people have in the country. You know, still today, Canadians, we have some comfortable myths about our people. One, that we have education paid for from cradle to grave, we want for nothing. That is not true. And
What is the truth?
the truth is there are some funds for some students to achieve some level of education. But the need is great. Only 4 out of 10 of our young people from First Nations achieve a high school graduation versus 9 out of 10 non-Indigenous Canadians. So there is, and students tell us the biggest barrier for them still is the lack of financial support. So that's why Inspire, we do what we do and engage Canadians in a way, our donors tell us, this is a way we can make a concrete contribution to reconciliation in Canada. We're looking for, Canadians are learning more about our shared history. And they know that education certainly was the key in their life in many ways, and the power of it in our students' lives. So I feel incredible joy, and I'm just in awe of the talents and the resources that our young people are bringing to the table day after day against all odds.
Because somebody might hear, $1,000, it doesn't sound like a lot of money. And Victoria, you received $1,000, but it can make a huge difference in someone getting the opportunity to do something they might otherwise not be able to do.
It can, and students' needs vary. We have many applications for bursaries from students across the country. And last year we were able to give $14.2 million through 4,900 bursaries, and about 1,500 of those were here in Ontario. The students present their needs. They may have received some modest funds from their community and just need top up for daycare so they can go to the evening courses. Or they may be pursuing a career in medicine and need a great deal more support. So we don't have a set amount at Inspire. It's based on need, how they're doing in school, and their commitment to give back to community. Those are all factors that our jury, it's a juried process, takes into account.
Well, Victoria, the money that you received, you were able to create your thesis film, The Hurt That Binds Us, and you actually received an award this past May.
Yes.
What was the award?
So I won Best Documentary along with Best Woman in Film. And so
Where?
at Ryerson University.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a look at a clip from your film, and then we'll talk more about it. Sheldon, please roll.
I just thought my parents were like just messed up people. Because I didn't understand. I was a kid, right? You don't know when you're a kid. You have no idea. You just accept it. That's your family, that's your life, that's how you live. Nowadays, Western society, they say it's violence, it's abuse, it's all this stuff, right? And I understand that. To me, as a product of Indian residential school, we had no choice. Not my generation, not their generation. It got taken away from us. Our choice, our freedom got taken away.
Intergenerational trauma is a reality that remains abstract to many. Indigenous communities across Turtle Island are still affected by the traumas inflicted upon them. However, this generation and the generations to come are strong, resilient, and will stand tall again.
Victoria, that's great work. It's so beautifully well done. What inspired you to tackle the issue of residential schools through film?
It was definitely my own experiences growing up, just because I grew up on my reserve for a short period of time. But just realizing the different traumas that everyone shared but didn't actually really talk about really bothered me growing up on the reserve, because I wanted to understand myself better along with just my own family, but it just seemed like such a hush topic that no one ever talked about. And seemed like only within like the past 5 to 7 years that I kind of finally started to hear the topic brought up a lot more. Mm-hmm. And it just going through university and learning more about myself through different courses like Indigenous peoples and decolonization, I realized that I really wanted to talk about it more within my own community and just within my own family to help better understand myself. And also just meeting other Indigenous people and realizing that we have similar traumas because of what we've experienced. Mm-hmm. I wanted to explore that topic more. And so I brought the idea up to my family about actually sharing their experiences and their traumas. And they were all very for it. Mm-hmm. It was definitely a long process because I wanted to be very sensitive about it because of the topics that are talked about. And also, I just wanted to be respectful of my family. And so it was kind of like a 2-year process of just doing pre-interviews and then actually planning to go up there and do it and securing funding for it. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely a very life-changing experience for me to do it. And I'm just really happy that my family agreed to actually do it because of how sensitive it is. And I just want to encourage communication and kind of continue the process of reconciliation and just encouraging indigenization rather than decolonization, because the term decolonization in itself is like a colonizer word. Mm-hmm. And so we can't exactly go back to how it was before colonization happened. We can just continue to indigenize the world.
And can you expand on that idea, Roberta, please?
Well, I think it was very courageous to do this film, Victoria. And some of the things that she's saying are absolutely so true. Our history, yes, our kids are born with the legacy of residential schools. That's how they start school. But we have an identity that predates colonization, victimization, and residential schools. We have much to be proud of. We have a history of traditional healing, stewardship over the land, conflict resolution. There's so many things that we can offer and bring to the table. We forget about those things. And so as you rediscover those things and empower our own people to step out again into the light, so much is possible in this country. And I think that Victoria, through her films, is really educating Canadians and our own people, challenging us to move out into that light. And that is a very noble enterprise, I think, and a much needed one. We still believe, we still carry around a lot of stereotypes about Indigenous people. We don't know that last year, for example, I can tell you, Indspire supported 450 Indigenous business students, over 350 nurses. These are not the statistics we hear about, and we need to hear more about that. And what our people are doing to change our communities and what Canadians can do to support that change. Because bottom line, it will benefit all of us.
And I want to, we only, it always runs so fast, these interviews. I just wanted to touch on also the fact, when we talk about representation, Victoria having the opportunity to make this film through her voice, through her lens, might not have happened without Indspire. And I think that's something that's extremely important.
Well, I think that Victoria is a determined young woman. I think she would
have made it happen.
No matter what. But it's a great honor for us to be part of supporting her in achieving her dreams. You know, we believe a lot in Inspire in role models. That's why we do the Inspire Awards, where we honor outstanding First Nations, Inuit, and Métis achievers, 3 youth among them. And here's a role model right here. She's going to do great things, even greater. Just watch her. I can't wait.
Young people are going to save us. I believe that. Well, Inspire has been recognized as one of the top 10 Canadian impact charities, according to Charity Intelligence Canada. What does that signify?
Well, I think we're very proud. It signifies to me a recognition of the Inspire team's work. We are a team. We have a lot of hardworking individuals at Inspire. We have a 90% graduation rate of the students we support. So it means a number of things. Recognition of our students' potential. And we're just the conduit. We're between those who want to support our students and those who need their support. And I'm pleased to be an effective conduit and a good network.
And who are some of your donors?
Oh dear, we have many donors. Government has a role to play, a lot of corporate donors, about 10,000 Canadians now, I'm proud to say, who are supporting our work. We've had a matching bursary campaign available, and if people want to find out more, go to inspire.ca. We may be able to match your donation, and that will double the amount available for students like Victoria.
Well, you mentioned the Inspire Awards. How does that fit into the bigger picture of the work your organization does?
Role models, celebrating role models, but also educating Canadians about what our people are doing. This year, Jeremy Dutcher, Polaris recipient, he's an outstanding performer. But then we also have a doctor who is doing incredible things, putting together Western medicine and traditional medicine. We also have Bridget Laquette, who is an amazing hockey player. I mean, the stories can go on. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what our people have done and can contribute.
Well, that's what I was going to follow up with what you said before, that there's just so much more to what the myths and the stereotypes. And I think it's a way to, does the Inspire Awards allow you an opportunity to kind of celebrate people who might not actually be celebrated anywhere else?
They do, certainly. And I will also say, I'm pleased to see TVO's Indigenous Hub launched, because you are in a unique position to help communities who live close to one another learn more about one another and the region and beyond. My time as chief and even as a kid growing up, it always amazed me how we can be 20, 30 miles down the road and know so little about one another and understand the issues at such a superficial level. So congratulations, TVO, for the new Indigenous Hub.
Well, thank you very much. I think one of TVO's mandate is to tell the stories of all Ontarians through the Indigenous lens. So it's great to have Indigenous reporters working for those hubs.
Absolutely, that is key.
Yeah. Victoria, tell us about some of the obstacles that you witnessed in terms of students from Eagle Lake First Nation successfully making their way through to high school graduation.
Well, as a part of living on the reserve, Eagle Lake First Nation, it's about, I'd say about half an hour to 45 minutes outside of the nearest city, which is Dryden. And so part of the struggle that I like initially saw just going to high school
We have a map there, just showing.
was that taking the bus itself was that's like the first obstacle that I saw, because if you miss the bus, then you can't really get into town to actually go to high school.
Because you can't walk there.
Yeah, you can't. It's impossible to walk there. Like, it would take you hours to walk there, and also it's just dangerous as well because wild animals. Also, it's just dangerous.
Lack
'cause
of public
strangers-
transportation.
Yeah, lack of public transportation, and then also just because unfortunately a lot of my friends' parents didn't have like the economic means to actually have vehicles, so they were just stranded. And so I myself actually got stranded a couple times too, where I couldn't actually go to school because I missed the bus. And so that was definitely one of them. And then also just going to a mostly non-Indigenous school where all of the reserve students had to bus in. You can tell that we were a smaller population at the school. And then also the fact that there was an Indigenous faculty. I feel like the representation of the faculty would have helped a lot more, to feel more encouraged to actually go to class, to have people who actually understand us a lot better. And so just having that different support within the school would have been a lot nicer, to have more Indigenous representation.
It sounds like there was a lot of obstacles for you to go through just to graduate from high school. What pushed you to graduate, to actually stay and finish?
Part of my life story is that I had a sister who actually died in Thunder Bay when I was 10.
I'm so sorry.
And so just seeing the struggles that she went through to go through like school, and just the different things that I saw her do as like a young child, it really like made me see the different struggles. And part of it was that I wanted to do it for her, but also for myself and for my family. And so I just wanted to create like a life path for myself that could be successful for my family, but I also wanted to be a role model for other students and other Indigenous youth, to see that if you put your mind to it, you're able to do it. It's just a matter of actually going through with it. And having like organizations like Indspire to actually help encourage that really helps, because you see that there's support there and that people actually believe in you. And I think actually having the hope that someone believes in you is something that really helped push me to go forward.
I'm really sorry for your loss and your family's loss. And hearing Victoria's story, education is empowerment. And Inspires actually, you're starting young from kindergarten to grade 12?
We do have supports for educators working in our classrooms so that they can present role models, curricula that's more sensitive. The students can see themselves. We also support many educators through education, through their bursaries. We have student conferences still called Soaring. And I think one of the things that we need to understand is our students are different. Because many people will say to me, yes, Roberta, students need a lot of financial support. All students do. But our students are different. Many of them have to leave their community, go hundreds of kilometers away, even thousands, to go to school. They leave their culture. They leave their family. They leave their language. They leave the support of elders. They leave ceremony, access to ceremonies. So just by getting in the front door at the educational institution, they've overcome a lot. So any support that we can provide them, and we're working right now on a mentorship, a more robust mentorship project that will give more wraparound services for them in institutions. And we're working also with colleges and universities so that once they arrive, they are in a responsive environment, because that's the next thing. They can come in, but can we retain them?
And having a safety net is really important.
Absolutely. A safety net, access to a student center that understands Indigenous students, where students can gather. Victoria's nodding. I think we talked about this just before we came in, about the importance of these supports, and much more to be done.
An upcoming film that you're working on is the film adaptation of Thomas King's book, The Inconvenient Indian. How did you get involved with that project, and how exciting is that? Like, oh my gosh.
I know. So the cinematographer, one of the cinematographers for the film, she knew me through this other production company that I interned at called Loudware Productions. And she just remembered me through like that connection. And so she reached out to me last summer and was just like, are you around Toronto this summer? Do you want to come onto this project? Because Michelle Latimer, the director, really wanted to have more Indigenous crew as a part of like the process. And so I just happened to be free that week. And so I was like, yes, of course I will come on and I'll help. And so I met Michelle that day on set, and then I met Thomas King that day as well. They were both amazing people, and they just were
Was it surreal?
It was a little bit surreal. It's funny because I actually knew Michelle through someone else as well, but we didn't know that we had that connection. And so that was just like a funny little connection because she's also from Thunder Bay originally. And so we bonded over that. And then Thomas King is just a character himself, very much himself.
An icon, yeah.
Very icon, yeah. It was very nice to just like speak to him and just like hear his stories. And he's just so personable, honestly.
As you look beyond your school years, what are you hoping to accomplish in the film world?
Well, I want to continue my career as a director and just continue to advocate for Indigenous people. I want to raise our voices. I want to just continue being a role model, and I want to help as many Indigenous people as I can to get their stories and voices out there.
Well, Victoria, it's nice to know you now that, before you become famous. And we're calling you, trying to get you in the show. Continued success. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Ms. Jameson, thank you so much for being here and for all the work that you do. You have to allow me to sneak it in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
The Agenda in the Summer with Nam Kiwanuka is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.